Welcome, and in this video we are going to address plotting our style lines on the front of our Moto jacket. So just a quick catch up on where we left off after the last one. We have our technical line drawing over here. We can see that along this position of the princess seam line is where we're going to have some style lines. The center front will cross center front. That'll be covered in another video as far as adding that extension over to the other matching princess style line on the opposite side of the body. But we've got to get our front bodice piece split as our side front and center front. In the last video or previous one, I had done that to the back. Here I've cleaned up my pieces, trued up my edges here at the style line, joined up my segments, added my seam allowance, converted my stitch line to a dashed line, made sure my notches moved out to my cut edge, and I'll still have my text to add a little bit later. But then over here, let's start focusing on the front. Now remember, we had built or drawn a guideline segment here so that we could shorten our torso sloper to represent more the length of our overall jacket here in the drawing, but this segment is not connected to those. So the easiest way really to do that is I'm going to go ahead and delete that segment, which was my guideline. Using my pen tool, I am going to come over here and hover over this anchor point so that I see my cursor icon change to the slash line. That means I will pick up drawing at this anchor point connecting to that path. I did a single click, my finger is up, bringing the cursor over to the other anchor point. Now I see the circle next to my pen cursor. That means I am closing the path, so I will single click. So now the outer perimeter of this pattern is a closed path. But now we actually need to cut it into two separate open-ended paths so that we'll have one section for the front and the other section for the side front. Now in order to position our top shoulder point, anchor point, where we're going to put that to cut, I've shown you in the style line video, if you recall from last week's practice, that we borrowed this segment from our back shoulder. So I want my seam lines from the front and the back to match over my shoulder seam. So I had just used my direct select arrow, selected that segment right there, copied it, pasted it, moved it on over here, converted it back to a straight line instead of a dashed line, and I'm only using it for a guideline to know where to deposit this anchor point, and I think about right there looks pretty good. All right, and I am going to scroll down here, and notice if I get my cursor close to that point, I'm going to get my guidelines, or that Illustrator helps you for kind of lining things up. And I want it in line with the bottom dart point of my torso dart, and I will add it to the bottom edge here. Now I'm going to do some cutting. That is keyboard shortcut or hotkey C. As you can see, it took me to my cutting tool, my scissors tool. So I'm going to cut that one on the bottom hemline. I'm actually going to also, I want to cut my dart points, but it's giving me my little message here that I am actually trying to cut an end point, and if it's already an end point I can't cut it. And if you'll see here, it's highlighting this segment, which means that that is stacked in front of my dart lines and the dart point that I want to get to. So I'll click OK. I will need to actually select this object and move it to the front of the stacking order. I can do that with a right click, arrange, bring to front, or I can also go to object, arrange, bring to front. Now I should be able to cut that anchor point. We're going to cut that anchor point, and scrolling on up, the one we added on the shoulder. All right, so now we should either have a side front or a center front section, and that's good. That's what we want. Where is that? Okay, it's hanging or making the bounding box further out here to the furthest out point, which happens to be out there. That's fine. Now what we need is our, we could do the pen tool, okay, and this is good. I'd like for it to go ahead and add on to this center front there. We're going to come down to our intersection, but in this case I don't really want it to add on to that point, so I'm going to come up just, I did not want it to add to the left hand side of the dart there. So I am going to click away from everything. I am going to select this side of the dart and make it come to the front. So now if I pick up with my pen tool again, there we go. Did not pick up where I wanted it to. Nope. I need to get this one. There. Now with my pen tool, that's the point I want to pick up on, and it's not letting me do that. Okay. Let's get this point here, and let's just move it up a little bit out of the way. Now if I use my pen tool, I can connect there, and I'm wanting to connect to that side. It's not letting me connect to that side again. Arrange, bring to front. It's probably because when I was undoing, I undid it. There we go. Now I'm on that side. We're going to connect here. Nope. All right. We're going to try and draw these maybe a little bit differently. There we go. That's good. It's there. I can still use my segment tool. It doesn't connect to anything. And you have to click, hold, and drag, and down to this anchor point. There we go. All right. Now we need that segment as our selected one, and then we need the two segments. So I'm holding my shift key down between here and here. Those two, I click on them. I'm going to command copy and paste right in front. There we go. Good. I've got those. Got that. What else do I need to add to my selection? That is going to be, actually I need to unselect those. I need to give a cross mark notch above and below our bust point. So now these two cross marks, we're going to command copy, command paste in front, that is command F. Okay, with those selected, now we are going to add to the selection. I'm going to get that part of the path. I'm going to get this little part of the path. I'm going to get that half of the dart, this one, and I'm getting the segment that's stacked in front. I'm going to get that and my anchor point there, or notch for the armhole. Zooming out, there we go, and using my keyboard arrows with the shift key so it moves at 10 points, I'm going to move that away from center front. Okay, and with my selection tool, see, I can get rid of my guideline for the shoulder anchor point, click and drag. Now my little bounding box gathered some of those other pieces on side front. I don't really want that. So let's move that just a little bit further away. We're going to zoom in here to take a look at some things. I don't need these cross guides for my dart, and I actually don't need the bust point anymore, not for our purposes here. But now what I do need to take a look at is joining my pieces, because when I select that, okay, those were drawn together, but this is disjointed as far as not joined. I can join this corner. Corners actually join pretty well with this join tool, but I am finding that I prefer when joining other points like this and another, I like to join it with my keyboard commands um, rather than using my join tool, because I like to just make one single anchor point. So I'm actually separating these anchor points just a little bit with my direct select tool. Now with my direct select tool, I can click and drag my little collection container around both of those points. I can go to Object, Path, Average, both of them, put them in the same place in space, but they're one stacked on top of the other. So I'm going to go to Path, Join. I have to average them first, then join. Now they are one point joining these two segments. And I've got another segment here that's not being highlighted, or this one's not being highlighted. So I know right in here I have another anchor point. Again, I'm just going to tap one or two arrows to separate them so I can see them. Collect both of them as my selection. I'm going to do my keyboard commands for my average and join. Command and Alt Option key with J is average, then Command J joins them. Okay, and checking some more here. I think I have another one right down here and here. All right, so in this area, using my direct select key to kind of separate them, gather both of them, Command Alt Option keys, both of those held down with the letter J, gives me my average first, then Command J joins them. All right, and this corner is still not joined. Again, the corners work great with that join tool. And now, let's check this and see. When I click on the whole path, it looks like it highlights all of it. That's good. That's what we want. Okay. So, let's see. I'm going to just move my grain line out of the way just a little bit more. My side front, I am going to actually join no, I'm not going to join or group them. I'm not going to group them at this point. I was just thinking I need to get them a little bit closer to the front. All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop here on this video. I'll pick up on another video doing the extension to the front so that we get this sort of double-breasted looking front that brings it all the way over to the style line from center front over to the far right-hand side of the body. So we'll pick up there on that, and also then doing our pocket slashes on our side fronts. All right, thank you for joining me.